Hello everyone, welcome back to LT Gaming. My name is Tom. If you're new here, we do a ton of different previews, deep dives on strategy games, space games, any sort of project that has something interesting under the bonnet. No hype for hype's sake, just what's exciting, what looks a bit uncertain, and what is worth watching. Now my poor old brother Luke is out sick today, so I'm stepping in again. Give him a get well soon in the comments, I'm sure he'll feel a lot better from that. But that means it's me again at the helm today, and I'm looking at Shrouded Suns, a single player, story driven space combat project with squad combat baked in. I'll run through what's confirmed, what's maybe still a question mark, and what to keep an eye on as it develops. I've seen a ton of footage on it lately and it looks fantastic, so let's get into it. But before we do, if this is your sort of thing, hit like and shape the algorithm into your favour. Hit subscribe if you think we're doing a good job here. And of course, drop down into the comments below and give me your opinion. I always want to hear from you guys too. So Shrouded Suns is basically pitching itself as classic space combat in a single player story driven campaign, set in the middle of what looks like a pretty hopeless war among the stars. Classic stuff here. And the way it frames it is quite telling. This isn't striving to be a full-on physics-driven space sim, but not where you're calculating vectors and all that malarkey. It's going for this retro cockpit tension, the feel of being in the chair, but with controls that are meant to be intuitive and easy to pick up. So this tells me it's not going for the Newtonian angle on things, but rather something far more approachable. And it looks like they're going for three big pillars. Firstly, flying a highly customizable fighter. Secondly, kitting out your squadron and yourself with components and weapons. And then crucially, tying this all together is that you're not alone out there because you're Alpha 1. So that means you, the player, guiding them via this quick command system without pausing in the action. And I gotta be honest, I think the last bit is the one that makes me sit up. Loads of space games are doing decent dogfighting. Fewer are going for this feeling of being the tip of the spear, where you're flying and making calls in the moment. So diving into the first aspect of gameplay, I'm reading this as non-Newtonian handling. So more I point the nose and the ship will behave, less I tap thrusters and drift sideways for a week or so as I try to correct my course. And honestly, I think this is going to be a massive relief for a lot of people who just want tight, easy to read dogfights without doing a master's degree in momentum along the way. But this is where the comments could get spicy. It could absolutely be a drawback for the crowd who love this proper, inertia-driven flight models and just basically capturing that whole space is bloody hard vibe. And I guess their fears will be summed up by it feeling too arcadey. However, it could just feel snappy and purposeful. It depends on how well they tune it. So yeah, I'm going to watch this closely. Does it land in the sweet spot where it is approachable and still has some depth, or does it flatten out to turn, shoot and repeat? Okay, diving into the next pillar I mentioned is the bit that usually decides whether a space combat campaign will become a weekend obsession where you're tinkering endlessly or something you kind of just jump in and out of. So they are leaning hard into customizing your fighter and your squadron with a wide variety of components and weapons. And critically, you're going to unlock extra kit by completing bonus objectives during missions. And I really like this idea on paper because it will nudge you into actually engaging with the mission and not just doing the bare minimum and then legging it. So if bonus objectives are things like disable the comms array, keep this freighter alive, take out that ace pilot, that's going to be great. It will create these little micro stories where if you pull off something heroic, you're going to get a reward and that will feel meaningful. What I'm going to watch for here though is whether the components are going to be meaningful choices and very distinct builds, rather than just this one has slightly better stats than the other. Because if you can tune both your ship and your squad around different roles, this is where the game will stop being this dogfight sim and start feeling like you're running a proper little strike group. And it will also set up then this nice little strategic element where do you build for your own piloting power or do you build for squad efficiency and put people in distinct roles? I really like that. Right, onto the last pillar of gameplay, and where Shrouded Suns feels like it's trying to be a bit more, is that you're leading this Alpha 1 squadron, who will take your orders using a quick command system, and you give these without pausing in the action. And I'm very interested in how this plays out, because it's the difference between a dogfight and a fight that you're actually directing. And if I think back to games like Bannerlord where you have all these options, and you end up just generally doing the same thing every battle, that loses a bit of the power of it. So the things I'll be watching here is how fast can you issue commands when everything's going wrong? Do then your wingmates actually execute on these orders, or do they just end up chasing whatever is nearest? And are there going to be meaningful tactics rather than just attack that, defend me, etc. Because the command system works and is reliable, this is going to be your depth right there as well. If it is too fiddly, you're going to end up ignoring it and then just doing the default things every fight. Now a big factor when you're playing any sort of space game is feel. The pitch is very much classic space combat with this immersion and tension baked in, while still staying approachable without getting bogged down too much in hardcore physics. Now the dev who's in our Discord, lovely guy, has been pretty open that Freespace is a big influence for him, and I'm thinking he's not approaching it as an aesthetic choice, more as a structure choice. Freespace was brilliant at making you feel like a small piece in a much bigger conflict. Punchy mission briefings, proper comms chatter, and that escalation from skirmishes to capital ship chaos, giving you those oh wow gameplay moments. So if Shrouded Suns can capture a slice of that, the tension, the pacing, and the sense you're part of something much bigger, I'm going to be very interested. And if the audio and UI can feed back into this, it's really going to elevate this game. Okay, if you know our channel and you know me, you know I like to do a bit of a pros and cons synopsis for you all. So for me, I think this project will live and die on a few make or break bits. Firstly, mission variety. I want more than kill everything. Give me escorts, intercepts, time retreats, disabling targets, multi-stage objective where the plan can fall apart halfway through. Secondly, the wingmate AI and command responsiveness. If I'm going to be issuing orders and the squad actually listens, this will give a huge amount of depth to the game. If they ignore you and chase the shiny targets, the whole squad layer will collapse. Thirdly, loadouts that change how you fight. Not just stat bumps, but proper roles. Interceptors, missile boats, support ships, maybe a brawler or two, the kind of choices where you commit to a plan. And lastly, but probably most importantly, is the feeling of control that you have over your ship. It's got to be intuitive, it's got to be straightforward, but it can't lose its depth along the way. So yeah, that is Shrouded Suns, and it's firmly on my radar. A story-driven cockpit campaign with squad command and that Freespace inspired flavour, and exactly the sort of space project I want to see more of, assuming it can get everything right. If you want to keep tabs on it, I'll pop the Steam link in the description. Go wishlist if this is your sort of thing, because it genuinely helps these small projects get seen. And I'm curious, would you rather have tight accessible dogfighting or proper Newtonian inertia and sim handling? Drop your take below. I always read all the comments, good and bad. And that will about do it for this one. So I'll see you on the next one, guys. Bye bye.